The blood was on the ceiling. FBI agent Rachel Nguyen stood in the cab and stared upward. 3 distinct smears, dark red, still tacky to the touch. Not dried, not old, fresh, but the truck had been abandoned for 5 years. The driver had disappeared in October 2020. It was now March 2025. Blood did not stay fresh for 5 years. Someone had been in this cab recently, and they had been bleeding. The Freightliner had been found in a commercial lot outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico. The lot owner was clearing space for new tenants. He found the truck buried under tarps in the far corner. He called the police. They ran the VIN. The truck belonged to a driver named Greg Altman. He had been reported missing in October 2020, 5 years ago. Nguyen climbed into the cab carefully. She photographed the blood smears. Each one was about 6 inches long, like someone had reached up and dragged their hand across the ceiling. Nguyen checked the driver's seat. No blood. She checked the sleeper berth. Clean. She checked the floor. Nothing. The only blood in the entire cab was on the ceiling. Nguyen wondered how it got there, and why. She called the forensic team. They arrived within an hour. They swabbed the blood. They tested it on site. The blood was human, type AB negative, one of the rarest blood types, only 1% of the population. Nguyen checked Greg's medical records. His blood type was O positive. The blood did not belong to him. Nguyen wondered whose blood it was, and what happened to Greg. The freight company Greg worked for was still in business. Nguyen contacted the dispatcher. The dispatcher remembered Greg. She said he had been hauling produce from California to Texas. His last check-in was October 18, 2020, at 6:47 p.m. He said he was stopping for the night at a truck stop in Flagstaff, Arizona. He would resume driving at 5 a.m. The dispatcher confirmed. Greg never checked in again. The company filed a missing person report on October 20th. Search teams checked the truck stop. They found nothing. Nguyen asked if Greg had mentioned any problems. The dispatcher said no. Greg sounded normal, maybe a little tired, but not distressed. Nguyen asked if the dispatcher remembered any other drivers on the same route. The dispatcher checked her records. She said there had been 2 other drivers. One was hauling furniture. The other was hauling electronics. Both had checked in from Flagstaff around the same time. Nguyen requested their names. Nguyen examined the truck's logbook. The last entry was October 18, 2020. Greg had signed it. The handwriting was neat. The entry showed he had driven from Barstow to Flagstaff, 253 miles. The odometer reading matched. Nguyen checked the fuel gauge. Empty. She checked the last fuel receipt. Greg had fueled up in Barstow at 2:14 p.m. He bought 87 gallons. The truck should have had fuel left, but the tank was dry. Nguyen wondered if someone had siphoned it, or if Greg had driven farther than the logbook showed. Nguyen checked the trailer. It was detached, parked next to the cab. The doors were open. The interior was empty. No profits. Nothing. Nguyen checked the manifest. The cargo had been worth $40,000. Lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, all perishable. The freight company had filed an insurance claim in 2020. They received $32,000. Nguyen wondered who had taken the produce, and when. The forensic team tested the blood again. They ran it through every database: criminal records, missing persons, military, medical donors. Nothing matched. The blood belonged to someone who had never been entered into any system. Nguyen wondered if the person was undocumented, or if they had avoided giving blood samples. The lab also tested the age of the blood. The result was startling. The blood was less than 48 hours old. Someone had been in this cab 2 days ago, bleeding, and they had left. Nguyen reviewed the lot's security footage. The lot had cameras at the entrance. She requested recordings from the past week. The lot owner provided digital files. Nguyen reviewed them. On March 10, 2025, at 11:34 p.m., A white sedan entered the lot. The car drove to the back corner. It parked near the Freightliner. A man got out. He was tall, wore a dark hoodie. He walked to the truck. He climbed into the cab. He stayed inside for 12 minutes. Then he climbed out. He walked back to his car. He drove away. The license plate was not visible. Nguyen wondered what the man had been doing in the cab and why he was bleeding. She examined the cab again. She checked for other signs of the man. She found a fingerprint on the door handle, partial, but clear enough to run. The forensic team lifted it. They sent it to the lab. The results came back the next day. No match. The fingerprint did not belong to anyone in the database. Nguyen checked the ceiling blood again. She noticed something. The smears were not random. They formed a pattern. 3 parallel lines, like someone had deliberately drawn them. Nguyen wondered if it was a message or a symbol. She photographed the pattern. She sent it to a forensic psychologist. The psychologist said the pattern could be intentional, or it could be accidental. Someone reaching up in pain. Without more context, it was hard to say. Nguyen contacted the 2 other drivers who had been in Flagstaff on October 18, 2020. The first driver was named Sam Porter. He was retired now. He lived in Oregon. Nguyen called him. Sam said he remembered that night. He had been at the truck stop. He parked near the fuel islands. He did not see Greg. But he remembered something. Around 8 p.m. he heard an argument. 2 men shouting. Sam looked out his window. He saw 2 people standing near a Freightliner. One man was tall. The other was shorter. They were arguing. Sam could not hear what they were saying, but it looked intense. After a few minutes, the tall man walked away. The shorter man climbed into the Freightliner. Sam went back to sleep. He left early the next morning. He did not see the Freightliner again. Nguyen asked if Sam could describe the men. Sam said the tall man wore a hoodie, dark colored. The shorter man wore a jacket. Sam could not see their faces. The lighting was poor. Nguyen asked if Sam remembered the Freightliner's number. Sam said no, but he thought it was hauling produce. There were logos on the trailer. Nguyen thanked him and moved on. The second driver was named Rita Cross. She still drove. She lived in Nevada. Nguyen called her. Rita said she remembered the night. She had been at the truck stop. She parked near the restrooms. She saw a Freightliner with a produce trailer. She assumed the driver was sleeping. Rita left around 4 a.m. The Freightliner was still there. Rita did not think anything of it. She continued her route. Nguyen asked if Rita saw anyone near the truck. Rita said no, but she mentioned something. When she left, she noticed the Freightliner's cab door was open, just a crack. Rita thought it was odd. Most drivers locked their doors, but she minded her own business. She drove away. Nguyen reviewed the timeline. Greg arrived at the truck stop around 7 p.m. Sam heard an argument around 8 p.m. Rita noticed the cab door open around 4 a.m. Greg never checked in. Nguyen wondered what happened between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. She contacted the truck stop. The manager pulled old records. The truck stop had security cameras in 2020, but the footage was stored for only 90 days. It was long gone. The manager did not remember anything unusual from that night. Nguyen returned to the blood. She wondered why someone would return to the truck 5 years later, and why they would be bleeding. She checked the lot's records. The truck had been towed to the lot in November 2020. The tow company was called Desert Towing. Nguyen contacted them. The manager checked the records. A police officer had requested the tow. The truck had been found abandoned at the truck stop in Flagstaff. No driver, no keys. The officer assumed it was a voluntary abandonment. The truck was towed to the lot. It sat for years. No one claimed it. Nguyen wondered why the police did not investigate further. She contacted the Flagstaff Police Department. The officer who handled the case was still on the force. His name was Officer Dane Miller. Nguyen called him. Miller said he remembered the truck. He had responded to a call from the truck stop manager. The manager said a truck had been parked for 3 days. The driver had not moved it. Miller checked the truck. The cab was locked. He forced it open. The cab was empty. No driver. No personal items. Just the logbook. Miller assumed the driver had walked away. Maybe a family emergency. Miller filed a report. The truck was towed. He did not follow up. Nguyen asked if Miller saw any blood. Miller said no. The cab was clean. Nguyen asked if Miller checked the ceiling. Miller paused. He said he had not. He checked the seats, the floor, the obvious places, but not the ceiling. Nguyen thanked him. She wondered if the blood had been there in 2020, or if it appeared later. Nguyen contacted Greg's family. His brother said Greg had been excited about the job. He loved driving. He had no plans to leave. The brother said Greg had been single, no girlfriend, no close friends, just work. The brother asked if Nguyen had found Greg. Nguyen said no, just the truck. The brother went quiet. Then he asked if there was any sign Greg was alive. Nguyen said she did not know, but she would keep looking. Nguyen returned to the white sedan from the security footage. She enhanced the image. She could see part of the sedan's make. It looked like a Honda Accord, dark blue or black. Nguyen checked vehicle registrations in New Mexico. She filtered for Honda Accords. The list was long. Over 2,000. Nguyen narrowed the search. She focused on cars registered to people with connections to Greg or the freight company. She found nothing. Nguyen decided to focus on the blood type. A B negative was rare. She contacted blood banks in the region. She asked if anyone with AB negative blood had donated recently. The blood banks could not share names without a warrant. Nguyen obtained one. She received a list of donors. 37 people. Nguyen cross-referenced the list with criminal records, traffic violations, anything. One name stood out, Marcus Lane. He had AB negative blood. He had been arrested in 2019 for assault. Charges were dropped. Marcus lived in Albuquerque. Nguyen drove to Marcus's address. It was a small apartment complex. Marcus answered the door. He was tall, wore a hoodie. He matched the description from the security footage. Nguyen identified herself. Marcus tensed. Nguyen asked if Marcus owned a Honda Accord. Marcus said yes, a black 2018 model. Nguyen asked if Marcus had been at the commercial lot on March 10th. Marcus hesitated. Then he admitted he had. Nguyen asked what Marcus was doing there. Marcus said he was looking for something. Nguyen asked what? Marcus said a truck. Nguyen asked why. Marcus said it was personal. Nguyen said she could arrest him for trespassing, or he could tell the truth. Marcus broke. He said he was looking for his brother. His brother had driven trucks. He disappeared in 2020. Marcus had been searching for years. He heard about the abandoned freightliner. He thought maybe it was connected. He went to check. He climbed into the cab. He cut his hand on broken glass. He bled. He panicked. He left. Nguyen asked for the brother's name. Marcus said Leo Lane. Nguyen checked her files. Leo Lane had never been reported missing. Nguyen asked why. Marcus said Leo was undocumented. He entered the country illegally in 2018. He worked under the table, driving trucks, hauling cargo. Marcus said Leo had been working for a man. The man paid cash. No records. Leo called Marcus in October 2020. He said he was in trouble. The man wanted him to do something illegal. Leo refused. The man threatened him. Leo said he was going to disappear. He told Marcus not to look for him. Marcus never heard from him again. No one asked for the man's name. Marcus said Leo never told him. Only that the man ran a trucking operation. Mostly undocumented drivers. The man paid them half of what legal drivers made. But they had no choice. No one asked if Marcus had any proof. Marcus said no, just what Leo told him. No one asked if Marcus thought Leo was dead. Marcus said he did not know, but he had been searching for 5 years. The Freightliner was the first lead he had. No one asked if Marcus recognized the name Greg Altman. Marcus said no. No one showed him Greg's photo. Marcus said he had never seen him. No one asked if Marcus's blood was on the ceiling because he reached up after cutting his hand. Marcus said yes. He was looking for anything, a clue, a note. He reached up to check the overhead compartments. He cut his hand on broken glass near the bunk. He bled. He did not realize it got on the ceiling. He left quickly. He was scared. No one examined Marcus's hand. There was a fresh scar between his thumb and index finger. The wound was consistent with broken glass. No one asked to see Marcus's car. Marcus agreed. No one checked the Honda. In the glove box she found a notebook. Inside were names, dates, locations. Marcus had been tracking undocumented truckers, trying to find his brother. One name on the list was Greg Altman. No one asked how Marcus knew Greg. Marcus said he did not, but Greg's truck had been found abandoned. Marcus thought maybe Greg was connected to the operation. Maybe Greg had seen something, or knew something. Nguyen took the notebook as evidence. She asked Marcus to come to the station. Marcus agreed. At the station, Nguyen questioned him further. She asked if Marcus knew where the operation was based. Marcus said no. Leo had been careful. He never gave details, but Marcus remembered something. Leo mentioned a warehouse near the border in Arizona. Leo said that was where they loaded the trucks. Undocumented cargo, stolen goods. Marcus did not know the exact location. Nguyen contacted ICE and the FBI's human trafficking unit. They had been investigating smuggling operations along the border. One operation matched Marcus's description. A man named Victor Reyes ran a network. He hired undocumented drivers. He paid them in cash. He smuggled goods across the border. Nguyen requested a warrant. The team raided Victor's warehouse in Tucson. They found trucks, drivers, and records. Lots of records. In the records, Nguyen found Leo Lane's name. Leo had driven for Victor from 2018 to 2020. The last entry was October 17, 2020. Leo was scheduled to pick up a load in Flagstaff. The load was produce, legitimate on paper, but the record showed a second load, hidden cargo, electronics, stolen. Leo was supposed to deliver both loads to Texas, but Leo never arrived. Victor noted in his records, driver fled, vehicle recovered, cargo lost. Nguyen realized Greg's truck was the vehicle. Victor had hired Leo to drive Greg's truck, but something went wrong. Nguyen checked the timeline. Greg had fueled up in Barstow on October 18th. He drove to Flagstaff. He arrived around 7 p.m., but Victor's records showed Leo was supposed to pick up the truck on October 17th, one day earlier. Nguyen wondered what happened. She questioned Victor. Victor was arrested during the raid. He lawyered up immediately. But under pressure he admitted some details. He said he hired drivers to transport goods. Most were undocumented, desperate. They did what he asked. But Leo was different. Leo asked too many questions. Victor said Leo was supposed to pick up a truck in Barstow, a Freightliner. The truck belonged to a driver named Greg. Victor had paid Greg to let Leo borrow the truck. Greg needed money. He agreed. But when Leo arrived, Greg changed his mind. He refused to hand over the truck. Leo called Victor. Victor told Leo to handle it. Leo and Greg argued. Leo threatened Greg. Greg fought back. Leo hit him. Greg fell. He hit his head. He died. Nguyen felt her chest tighten. Greg was dead, killed by Leo. She asked what Leo did next. Victor said Leo panicked. He called Victor. Victor told him to hide the body. Leo drove the truck to a remote area. He buried Greg. Then he drove back to Flagstaff. He planned to deliver the cargo, but he could not do it. He was scared. He walked away. Victor sent someone to recover the truck, but by then the police had towed it. The cargo was gone. Leo disappeared. Victor never found him. Noonan asked where Leo buried Greg. Victor said he did not know. Leo never told him. Noonan asked if Victor tried to find Leo. Victor said yes, but Leo vanished. Victor assumed Leo left the country or died. Noonan arrested Victor. He was charged with human trafficking, smuggling, and conspiracy to commit murder. He was convicted and sentenced to 40 years. Noonan organized a search for Greg's body. She used Victor's records to narrow the area. Leo had called Victor from a location near Flagstaff. Cell tower data placed the call near a forest road off Highway 89. Noonan led a team to the area. They searched for 3 days. On the 3rd day they found a shallow grave. Inside were human remains. The medical examiner confirmed the identity through dental records. It was Greg Altman. The cause of death was blunt force trauma to the head. Greg had been killed in October 2020. Just as Victor said. Nadine contacted Greg's brother. She told him they found Greg. The brother cried. He said he had been waiting 5 years for answers. He was glad to finally know. But he wished Greg had never agreed to help Victor. Nadine said Greg had been in a tough spot. He needed money. He made a choice. It cost him his life. The brother said he would bury Greg properly. He thanked Nadine. Noonan turned her attention to Leo. She issued a national warrant. She sent Leo's information to Border Patrol, ICE, the FBI. 6 months later, a man matching Leo's description was arrested in California. He was using a fake name, working at a farm. Noonan flew to California. She interviewed the man. He admitted he was Leo Lane. He said he had been running for 5 years. He said he never meant to kill Greg. It was an accident. Greg fought back. Leo pushed him. Greg fell, hit his head on the truck step. Leo panicked. He buried Greg. He walked away. He had been living under the radar ever since. Leo was extradited to Arizona. He was charged with involuntary manslaughter. His lawyer argued it was not premeditated. The jury agreed. Leo was convicted and sentenced to 15 years. Marcus attended the trial. He said he was relieved to find his brother, but he was disappointed. Leo had made terrible choices. Marcus said he would visit Leo in prison, but their relationship would never be the same. Noonan closed the case, but she kept thinking about the blood on the ceiling, the fresh smears that had been left 5 years after Greg disappeared. Marcus had been searching for his brother. He climbed into the truck. He cut his hand. He reached up. His blood marked the place where his brother's victim had once sat. Noonan wondered if Marcus knew, if he understood the connection. She decided not to tell him. Some truths were too painful to carry. Some mysteries solve themselves when someone refuses to stop searching. A brother looking for answers. Blood on a ceiling. A driver who said yes when he should have said no.